so silly.
And we are now live. Hello, everyone.
We are now live.
And welcome to a live stream of the Powerful Podcast. How's everyone doing?
I'm okay.
I'm all right.
Oh, we're live, right? Okay, I hit record on the audio.
Oh, have I record? Yeah, I'm recording.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, that's
everybody
good.
hit record on
You should have
audio.
been recording
Yeah.
for a while now.
Okay.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to hit record when we were just sitting here, like, struggling with technology. But, all right, we're all good now. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Powerful, a Power Metal live podcast. I'm Stella. I'm here with Fernando and Daniel. I was going to say Kyle, but Kyle's not here. Instead, we have Daniel. And it has been, I think, a month we last went live. And now we are 2 months into house isolation. How's everyone doing?
It's surviving. There's loads to do. I mean, it's the fun of being a musician. You can just do anything you want. It's great. I can sleep all day.
Great. Oh, man. I don't know if that's better or worse.
Oh, man. It's
Right?
something. It's something.
So we actually
Yeah.
know our guest. We've known him for a while, but for everyone that's watching, can you properly introduce yourself to everyone?
Please.
Sorry, hey everyone, I'm Daniel Carpenter. I'm from a band you've probably not heard of called CELESTIVL. And I'm also a professional musician in my own right. I write orchestral music, contemporary classical, and anything that gets the money in these trying times.
Nice.
Oh, those sound like real money makers. Just kidding. Yeah, so it's really funny because at home when we would try to use the voice command on the, what do you call it? The Google Alexa motherfucker. I like either me or my husband would say celestial. Oh God, my mic. Yeah, so you basically chose the most difficult band name in existence for voice recognition, and the most difficult album name.
To be fair though, it works because I mean I meet people in real life like this. They're like the first thing they do when they come up to me is like, "How do you pronounce your name? Is it CELESTIVL? Is it?" And it's one of those things you think it might be difficult for branding and stuff, but the way I see it, it's they have to say our name so many times, like we have to have a proper conversation about it. Whereas if we were something like I don't know, like Rose Obituary, you just throw it aside. I mean, it's like I've played with so many like corset core bands that I can't even remember the names of, dude. Like if there was a guy putting a gun to my head saying name like 10 bands you've shared a stage with, I would be dead right now, to be honest. Like there's only so many kind of like I don't know, like Palace of Wisdom, etc. bands that you can hear. It's always similar.
We're in symphonic metal land here now. So your band name is probably going to be like something Ia, like
it's like
Epica, Avantasia,
Xandria,
Xandria,
Seredia.
Exactly. Oh, there we go.
Oh, so many. It's literally how you. Oh God. Do you know? Funnily enough, right? Back when Celestial first ever started, I actually did want to call the band Celestia.
Oh, okay.
But,
that's very symphonic metal of you.
You guys probably know, but that's the name of one of the My Little Ponies.
Yeah, it's a like.
I don't. I'm not very well versed in My Little Pony.
It's like like the queen and god of all ponies, Celestia.
The queen and god of all ponies. All right, I learned a thing today.
Yeah. So we looked it up on Google and we were like, okay, Princess Celestia, and we were like, oh God.
You would have been so closely associated with pony culture.
If we would have made pony metal, right, we'd be famous right now.
Pony metal. Yeah, actually, maybe. Okay, so let's talk about while we're on that theme, let's talk about like themes in I guess we see a lot of theme bands in power metal, but I think in terms of symphonic metal, the only one I can really think of is Twilight Force themed. I guess they're like fantasy.
Yeah, it's kind of
But
like
that's not
LARP
themed
metal.
enough.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things because I mean like you get things that are themes like off the top of my head you got like Ailstorm who are pirate themes,
Yeah, that's
theme now, but like the I love Ailstorm. I'm not even saying a bad word against them.
No way.
But and then you get stuff like Walkings where it's everything. But yeah, symphonic metal it's really vague in terms of themes. It's all just like, hey, wear a corset,
Yeah.
wear some
We're a corset band.
There's a
Yeah,
girl
I
singing.
don't
It's
feel-
probably symphonic metal. That used to be the one
Do you feel
measuring
like
stick.
it's still like that now? Because I remember back in like the early 2000s, there were so many. So ever since Nightwish reached peak popularity, like probably with album Once or something, there was so many like female fronted, soprano led symphonic metal, but I don't really see that anymore.
it's a weird thing, right? Because
It's kind
I
of
think
underground now.
yeah, I mean it's really hard because personally I think noughties symphonic metal. I think more I'd say the two best albums in the genre are Within Temptation's Heart of Everything and The Silent Force.
Oh,
And then
absolutely.
before that you've got Evanescence's Fallen, which is kind of I think set a prototype for what the
Prototype,
genre
yeah.
would yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of had the two halves. Like you had your bands that were like Within Temptation, and your bands that were like Nightwish, where a really airy girl, usually in like a black flowery dress, or you'd have a really balls to the wall soprano. But I think Nightwish changed the game when they did Dark Passion Play and Imagineering. And I think that's what we feel now because, I mean, it's weird to say, but like, I'm classically trained. I should love operatic vocals. But for me, whenever I hear like symphonic metal and it's like an operatic female, I'm like, my brain turns off. I'm like, no, I'm bored. This is.
And why
And
why
so-
is that? Do you just feel like it's out of place? Is there something like
It-
off about the execution?
Well, the things about classical technique is that, and people have different opinions of this. So my personal thing is that I see a lot of it is used to pronounce Italian, German, Latin, and so you
Yeah.
use a lot of vowel darkening. You change the pronunciation of things, and to a regular audience who doesn't speak those languages, that can be quite palatable. That doesn't sound silly, but when you put it in English, suddenly it just becomes really funny. Like, you're like, and the dragon went over the hill. And it's kind of, it's like, And because, like, metal is such a conversational genre where you want to hear the stories and you want to hear the lyrics, if everything's buried behind this sort of, like, woolly wall of mush, it's like, what?
That's an interesting
that's
point.
interesting.
Yeah, metal loves a wall of like things happening. We need not one but two guitars, and on top of that, we also need orchestration, which I'm sure you have a lot of things to say about orchestration in metal albums.
Yeah. I mean, it's orchestration in particular. It's an example of symphonic metal really changing the game. It's bizarre. It's like, I think symphonic metal's been such an influential genre on metal, but it's been absorbed by it. Like, every metal band has an orchestra nowadays. I mean, like, you can listen to death metal, thrash metal, like Bring Me the Horizon, and Architects use orchestras, and it's, if the main thing that defines symphonic metal is this has an orchestra, suddenly it has no identity because everyone's taken it. I mean, you mentioned Twilight Force. I don't know if I'd call them symphonic.
Yeah, they don't really have the kind of the symphonic metal influences that we talked of, like Within Temptation, and even like the late the like later gothic metal kind of things that were more popular, like Lacuna Coil. I used to follow them a lot closer than I actually have no idea what they're doing now. But I liked them way back in 2004. Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's for me why a lot of bands are in a bit of a flux, because as orchestration has become a standard, bands are just using it for the sake of it. Like, I would love to just get it like it used to be with a keyboardist on stage. If you can't write for full orchestra, just get that. And then make good songs, man. Right? Make good music.
Make good songs. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like, all the orchestration in the world will not save you if I can't sing your chorus back.
Absolutely. Or if I can't remember a single riff that you did.
Yeah.
Totally.
You can't just rely on how it sounds, on how big you can make it sound if there's nothing to say in there.
But yeah, completely.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, what do you guys think about that? I mean, of course, you guys covering power metal, you must have heard this orchestration big train thing just steamrolling over the genre.
Yeah, it seems like we do a lot of album reviews, like on the show and just, casually among friends. And we're always like really excited when we can hear like clear bass lines, and we're really excited when there's like guitar riffs that we can remember. Usually we're like more worried about a band using orchestration as a crutch and like not really getting much done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Which brings me to the point. I wonder, like, as a musician who's like specialized in heavy metal, one might not always know how to write for an orchestra. Do you think these people are like composing their own orchestration? Or like, how is this even happening?
It's a mixture. I mean, if you look at Nightwish, of course.
Oh yeah, let's talk about Nightwish.
Yeah, a lot of people, they sort of selectively forget. Thomas Holopainen, he doesn't write his own orchestration. That's all done by Pip Williams, and it's for most part really good orchestration. But yeah, there are so many bands who can't afford that, and you have to remember orchestras are expensive as hell.
Yeah,
who are writing their own orchestration and putting it together in like East-West. I mean, that's the thing. I remember when I first started this, you had to buy all this stuff, and you were dropping like $1,000 up front before you even learned how to use them. Nowadays, you can get all that stuff for like $10 a month. So there is nothing stopping people. And so yeah, you get a lot of mixed results from that. So
there's the keyboards, keyboard dudes that just, I'm gonna plug my keyboard and trigger the patch of the brass section and just play some chords holding on forever.
Yeah.
And
it's like the brass player who never breathes.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna be that now. Like, when will you realistically be able to breathe in this brass section?
Yeah, I mean, the brass sections, for me, that's what always stands out. Like, whenever I hear I'd rather people just not use them, to be honest. But I've listened to so many albums where, like, the music's so bloody brilliant, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great. And then suddenly there's just a trumpet from the side just going like, wow. I'm like, why is it that? What have you? Why? Please, God.
It's to add more layers, because layering anything
sounds bigger.
Is heavy, right?
Bigger is better.
More.
Bigger is better, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk about this Nightwish album, just as a jumping off point. Okay, you guys both heard it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This album is like bigger is better, like, defined.
Yeah.
What were they attempting? I don't understand. Like, first off, the title, it's like human nature with all the U's turned into V's because it's true cult. And there's a colon, pipe colon. But okay.
I mean, I think with that sort of the colon pipe colon thing, I think that's like they're trying to do things in music,
but it's weird
with the idea.
Oh my god, and I totally forgot about that.
So it'd be like, yeah. So I don't know. I think it's the kind of idea. Yeah, human nature.
It's a weird use of the thing. Like,
it's double repeat. So there's like you're repeating the human part, and then you're repeating.
But also
mind.
the human has a full stop, and then you have the repeat. And
there is a full stop and a repeat. So it's like human.
I'm lost. I'm lost
so,
trying to decode this.
If I could put a decode, I would say because the human bracket ends on the repeat and the nature just continues. I think Thomas is trying to think of sort of the everlastingness of nature. The humans will only repeat once.
It'll
and
repeat.
Then you'll never
I guess.
again.
Yeah.
And
we may be overthinking
nature until the end.
I think we may be overthinking this. It's possible. It's possible that I'm not sure like musical notation Tomas is familiar with.
No,
he totally knows. Oh, come on. He's a professional. He knows this.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But I don't know.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
We have to ask them.
But I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the theme of the album really talks about. It's kind of. It talks about many things at once. That's what I took away. I can't take away one distinct point of the album. Like, he criticizes human society. He talks about nature. He talks about humans going into cults.
Tribal is about cults.
Yeah, kind of. I'm just gonna drill up the lyrics, but yeah, tribal is a sort of criticizing of people going into hive minds, if you like, and it uses. Yeah, I mean, like, smile to elders like a good doll, for example.
Ew, that's really creepy. Ew, no, that grosses me out.
Yeah, this is how I feel about the album, to be honest.
I just thought that, like, I kind of cringe at the thought of watching the band doing the grunting part on stage. I don't want to see it.
You don't want to see the skeletons on stage.
It sounds embarrassing.
Like, have you seen the lyric video? At, like, the grunting bits, I think it's this one anyway. But there's sort of dancing CGI skeletons.
Why? Oh,
there's dancing skeletons.
No, please.
And I want to see on stage. This would make me buy a Nightwish ticket, by the way. If we get to that part, you've got Floor Jansen on the mic going like,
no.
And suddenly, like, some sort of like paper Halloween skeletons just rise.
Or
and
like,
just...
oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
People in like glow in the dark skelly outfits.
You mean
like
the black
so
ones
silly.
with the skeletons?
Yeah, with the
on the dark background.
Yeah, dark background, like neon colored skulls.
Yeah. That's a show.
God,
like neon orange, neon green.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
They
It's like, well, we don't understand the point of your album, and it seems like you don't really have anything to distinguish yourselves from other metal bands that use orchestration, which is like everybody now. So the thing that'll distinguish you is the theatrics. That's why skeletons.
Well, I mean, it's the thing is about Nightwish is it's why for me they're in such an odd place because I don't know what distinguishes them.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, tell you why you should listen to Nightwish and not any other band nowadays, because I don't know what you particularly get, really, and that's because equally so many people have aped their style that it's no longer theirs anymore. It's kind
absolutely.
of public domain.
Yeah,
but they seem to be composing in this kind of vague style that they want to be taken as art. They want it to be taken. I don't mean that in a negative way at all.
Yeah.
They want their listeners to experience the music and go, this is art. This is culture. I'm now for having listened to this. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
the issue personally I have with it is, and I'm gonna have to be very careful, but like we know the metal subculture very well.
Mm-hmm.
There has been a storied history of elitism within metal.
Yeah.
And am I comfortable about this feeding into it? And I'm not really, to be honest. It gets to the point where you have to ask, if you accept this music as just equal, if you say, okay, it's art, it's not art, what worth does it have? Like, what have you gained from it? What insights have you gotten? What new music have you really heard? What's there? You know, what's substantial? And I'd go out on a limb and say, very little. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I could say I've listened to this album quite a lot because I've just wanted to get my head around it, and I can tell you right now, I've 2 melodies from an entire
Game of Thrones melody.
Oh yeah, of course it uses that. Yeah, noise. Yeah. Noise is alright.
Noise is alright, except for that detail for me. The fact that the whole song hinges on the Game of Thrones theme melody is too egregious. Like, but the hook itself, the hook in the chorus is nice, and the structure of the song is nice.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's and that's the thing. I can't say this stuff's badly written. I can't be like, God, who was drunk at the booth?
Right.
Because this stuff's all well done.
It's all well done.
There's no mistakes.
But
what I would like to ask sort of any Nightwish fan that reads the album, imagine if they're still going 10 years from now. They'll still play Nemo. They'll still probably play Storytime or something like I Want My Tears Back or Amaranth. What are they going to play from this?
Right.
Noise,
Probably.
maybe.
Do you not? I think there's so many songs that do noise better. Like you've got the big Storytime for one of them.
That's true. Yeah,
That's true.
It doesn't really accomplish anything new. I think what you're kind of what I'm kind of seeing from this album is they want to write something like thought-provoking, but they're not really focused on what kind of thoughts do I want. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it says it's the very meaning of bombastic, and every metal band wants to be bombastic. But you got to remember that to be bombastic is to say a lot, but at the same time say nothing. It's using a lot of words with no meaning. It's bombast.
You know, I really thought since they hired Troy, that's the Pipes guy's name.
Yeah,
right?
the folk.
Yeah. Okay. I thought they were going to go into a more like folksy direction. I thought they were gonna like what would have been cool is they went the folk direction and then they like I always thought that Nightwish wanted to like tell stories with their music. And I know this is a terrible example. That song with the native guy on it who wasn't actually a native guy.
Creek Mary's Blood.
Mary's
Blood.
So I
love that
was
song.
like,
that story.
It's actually not a bad song, and
I love it. I think it's one of the best things they've done,
too.
and it's such a shame.
And I thought it was like I thought it was a nice tribute to like a population of humans who like got fucked over royally.
Yeah, totally.
It was just
totally
like
undermined when it's like the plight, the plight of the Native American.
It's ruined because their guest was not actually native. In fact, he was known to deceive people who think that they're hiring a native artist.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So like, for anyone who doesn't know the story of John Two Hawks, what happened is Thomas went to the Finnish embassy and said, I want a Native American musician. They said, hey, it's John Two Hawks. And they went through like a naming ceremony. Like, so John, I believe he called Thomas something like Shadow Wolf in an authentic Native American naming ceremony. And Termus was like, "Oh my god, I am the Shadow Wolf, the Shadow Wolf." And so this dude, who was just clearly an American guy with some fake tan on, just went into a vocal booth and just went like, "Here, no, Mahana here," and said, "That's a Lakota poem." And quite famously, many Lakota people have came out and said, "This is bullshit. This is gibberish."
Right.
He's just inventing words at this point.
Oh my god! I want as many people as possible to know this because
Yeah,
that
me
is
too.
fucked
Me
up.
too, man. Me too. But
And
I
they
think that's
should've-
why they've never done that live anymore.
They probably found
you
out
retire
after
that
the
kind
fact.
of song. You don't want
Yeah.
to keep. It's like, it's one of those
like,
chapters
oops.
in their story that they want buried, like the music video for the Siren.
The music video for the Siren.
Yeah.
Oh. Wait, hold on. YouTube.
It's not on YouTube.
I think I know what you're talking.
It's not on YouTube. It's on Vimeo. It's a music video.
It's so disturbing
was made
that
by-
they removed
yeah.
it from YouTube.
It was made by the label
Yeah.
at the time. It's a collection of like a mishmash of just bad drawings and CGI from like, I think it was the same engine as Battlefield. And it's really, really bad. Like, it's something that for some reason it was like greenlit to air on, not sure if on MTV or one of those channels, and it was like immediately pulled, and the band saw that and it was like, what the fuck is going on? And they just, this cannot see the light of day. Why did you do this? Like, and it
I
was
know this
officially
video.
made by the
This is so
label.
horrible.
So it's technically a real video, but they were like, no, this shall not
Don't
see
do
the light of day.
it.
But it surfaced a couple years later, and it's on Vimeo.
On Vimeo, it actually says Nightwish horrible the Siren video.
Yeah, that one.
Oh wow.
This is the completely awful video for the song
If
The
you look
Siren,
for it, it's
which the band didn't approve.
it is a
for
slightly
obvious
not
reasons.
safe for work. There's
slightly not
Trudy
safe for work.
tits on there.
There's animated nudity, and oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, this video is
Yeah,
terrible.
It's a train wreck.
Oh, it's bad.
I will
It's
not
a
watch
train
it.
wreck.
It's bizarre, right? Because
So
the
bizarre.
Siren, that was on the Once album, and everyone's
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, Nightwish were huge on Once. That was their prime."
Yeah,
And
this was
it's like they
like
got this video.
this is they weren't low budget anymore at this point. I feel
No, that
like
was when they were spending millions on the London Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, this is peak Wish.
Just the label's like, "Guys, you spent all of our money on an orchestra. I hope you're happy. Here's this." Hope that Alone in the Dark sponsorship gets you far.
Right? This is the peak, and then they decided it was a great idea to singer vocalist off.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
of course
like,
being that being one of the biggest sort of events in symphonic metal history.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We'll still talk about
That
it
was
now,
news.
but it was like 15 years ago. Was that
It
2005?
was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was like 2005.
Yeah, that's
Holy shit, dude.
really weird to think of. That it's been that long.
Yeah, and now we are, two vocalists later. Like a weird album without much substance. I was wrong to think that they kind of wanted to go the folk route.
I don't know. I mean, there are hints of that. I mean, they do stuff like Harvest, which
They
Yeah.
do the campfire song, which is like what what's the other one? Fuck the Islander.
the Islander, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
on
really good.
whatever dark passion, whatever. Yeah, but you can only put like one campfire song in the album. Yeah, I really thought I thought folksy would be like more of a folk metal route, but it doesn't seem like they're interested in making metal anymore, which is fine. Whatever.
I'm kind of conflicted because I think,
Yeah.
for me, what I think is where Nightwish aren't Nightwish now is it's a subject matter. Like it used to be. as much as it's always been quite pretentious, quite like artsy, there was a time where, for better or worse, the songs in a way felt quite honest, quite sort of what's the word? Kind of looking inwardly, in a way.
Yeah.
And all the imagery of like the dead boy.
There was a lot of imagery. That's kind of what I was thinking about in terms of storytelling, like Amaranth. I guess that was a story.
Yeah. I mean, it's Nightwish are built around a story. I'd argue that the story of Tyre and Thomas is as important as what they've done since. I mean, that's what built them. Right. And that's why people still tell that story today, and why we still want to know, like, what actually happened.
Yeah. Ah, weird. So weird. You know what's weirder than the first half of the album? The second.
So you're talking about that second CD with all the orchestral stuff?
The second CD, yeah. I remember playing this album, and I was like, I don't know. It just seems like it just passed by, and I got nothing out of it. Maybe I'm too uncultured to understand the deep meaning.
I don't know. For me, that whole second CD was like a bit just too backgroundy. That it didn't caught my attention most of the time. Very few times I was like, oh, I should be paying attention to this. And through long chunks of it, I was like, oh, I've been thinking about something else all this time. What happened? Like I missed half the movie without realizing.
Yeah, that's how I felt, because I was like working out while listening to this, and I'm like, is this song over yet? Oh wait, it was like 5.
Well, I kind of think when you said about like not being cultured enough, I think that's exactly what they want you to think.
Yeah, that's what they want me to think. Exactly.
Yeah, they want you to think that if you like the album, great. If you like Human to Nature, brilliant, awesome. They've got your money. If you don't like it though, they want you. They want to think. They don't want anyone to be able to say, this album fucking sucks. Shit,
I don't understand it. It's too deep for you.
Yeah. And I've seen this on Facebook. Like, I'm involved in a lot of the symphonic metal groups and chats, and a lot of people don't like it, but they never say that.
Don't say that,
I don't get it.
Yeah, they'd say, I don't think it's for me. Yeah, people, and the other side of that is people say, and this pisses me off big time, dude. It's like, the metal fans won't like this album.
That's the weirdest one. And
I'm kind of like, dude, like seriously, it's got to a point where not only is it metal fans versus metal fans, it's Nightwish fans versus Nightwish fans. It's like, come on, man, come on. This is not how you keep a genre.
So I don't know. I've kind of like distanced myself from the idea of a metal fan lately. Yeah. Like I personally listen to, I listen to metal pretty much exclusively. Okay, and I don't feel any pride in that. I feel like I don't know a lot about other music, and it's kind of embarrassing. But not because I really like metal and I can't help it. I'm sorry.
That's the thing. Contrary to popular belief, I still really love metal. I listen to.
Wow, really? Impossible.
I mean, it's different from the stuff I used to listen to, but I've still got a lot of love for it. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't speak for other countries, but over here in England, there's definitely this divide, and where metal fans are definitely self-identifying in that way, and that becomes a culture in itself.
Yes.
And over here, I don't know if this story came overseas, but we had the Sophie Lancaster today.
I admittedly only heard about it because of Delane.
Okay, cool. So for anyone who doesn't know of Sophie Lancaster, what happened is years and years ago, I think maybe must be over 15 years now, she was attacked in the street and killed because of the way that she dressed.
That's fucked up.
It's awful. It's and it's dreadful. And what that's done over the years is it's made attacking people who are alternative into a hate crime. So that's been officially recognised now over here, at least.
Okay.
And it's had a two-pronged, it's a double-edged sword, because a lot of people take it, and indeed the charity itself take it in the way it should be taken, and that is that intolerance anywhere should not be tolerated. Like, we have to understand and come together as people and really hold people to account when we see acts of intolerance and hate. And I support that. The other hand is that it's been co-opted by, unfortunately, a sizable chunk of the metal community to almost be an act of vengeance against people who we over here call chavs. People who basically... Chavs, if anyone's not from the UK, are basically people who are often listening to like hip-hop or dance music, usually in tracksuits, usually in hoodies, and are known with quite violent at times, though not always.
All right.
And you see it on Facebook groups all the time, people saying like, oh, I'd love for these people to come to this festival, they'd be killed, they'd be like knocked out and stuff. And that, I'm serious. I am serious. People think, Daniel, you're insane. This doesn't happen. It happens, dude. And it is an example of sort of hate begetting hate in that kind of way. And I try to call that out as much as I can. Because when those cults emerge, when those hateful subcultures emerge, the real violent stuff, the dangerous stuff, that always gets gotten rid of. That always gets defeated in some way. But it kind of makes everything a bit worse, because those people, they've got to go somewhere. And everything, I mean, it relates to everything, man. It's when it's hateful or prejudiced in some way gets said, it has its knock-on effects, even when you don't think about it. Everything you read affects the way you think.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think it'd be very easy to say, oh yeah, people know better. But everybody's guilty of it. Everybody is influenced by things in a way they can't even understand until they're acting in a way that other people find disgraceful. And that's why I'm always so against the galvanizing of any kind of subculture, and it's why I'm wary.
Yeah.
When
it kind of sucks to like pit people who enjoy metal and symphonic metal against each other, or like subgenres against each other. It kind of creates like a sense of tribalism and like
absolutely
like where I don't know. It's like a cult mentality, kind of like you just stick with your cult, and anyone outside is like weird.
It is, yeah. I mean, again, to talk about the Nightwish's song "Tribal," I think they completely agree with that statement. I think they'd agree with absolutely everything because they talk about it there. But it's with one hand they have a song like Tribal, and on another hand they have a music video like Noise.
Yes.
Where, I mean, I've had a lot of people sort of disagree, but personally I'm not a fan. I think it has some kind of unconscious messages that can get a bit uncomfortable at times.
Yeah, I thought Noise was just like another technology phobic rant.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like phone bad.
I totally get it. I mean, I think in the context of what they're trying to say, I understand it, and I do agree. I mean, God, I mean, today, actually, I mean, if anyone doesn't know, today we've had, because of social media, actually, the suicide of a wrestler over in Japan.
Oh,
really?
Yes. If anyone's in the Japanese wrestling or terrace house communities, this person was on the most recent season of Terrace House, which is a show that I actually used to watch a lot. It's a Japanese reality TV show, and it's branded as like a wholesome, like less dramatic, more realistic TV show in which people like go grocery shopping and like wash dishes. But in the most recent season, the editing was done in a way that kind of brought out the worst in people. And the fan base can forget that the people on this show are actual humans with feelings, and they're like messy because we humans are all messy. So don't tweet horrible things at people on reality TV shows.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
They're
we could
people.
all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. We could all do well to like consider this, that people are always people on the other end of it, and we can always be kinder. We can always be better people. That's always the best thing to remember.
Mhm.
The issue I have with the noise videos, it never settles on that idea. It kind of flirts with it, like it casts down the idea of the sort of the salesman selling you drugs to get you better, and it casts down the idea of someone being beaten up in the street because of something he's posted online. It also equally casts down a girl in her underwear posting selfies on Instagram.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're kind of like,
I don't know.
yeah, because immediately that divides the audience. I mean, if you look at the YouTube comments, people are just like, I'm just here for the sexier lady.
Oh yeah, they put
And
like
it's-
you can't criticize like asses on Instagram while showing like a beautiful ass in your music video.
It's
Like,
it's
where
a-
are you here?
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, my personal view is that is an uncomfortable argument to make. I mean, whether or not you're meaning, like they do with the mother and the child, when they show the mother forcing the child into Instagram poses.
Sure.
And I get that. That alone would be a great message. But when you have the half-naked model there, you get into an uncomfortable territory. You're like, are you insulting sex positivity? Are you using it to get are you using it to say, oh look, half-naked girls, you guys like those?
Yeah. At what point
it's
can you,
insidious in a way.
if you're showing something just to make a commentary about it or to criticize it, there's a fine line between doing that and actually doing the thing you are commenting on and criticizing. Sometimes you just cross it all over and you are doing the thing that you think you are being smart about.
And I think this is the use of tech and the impact on people is such a like complex issue, and I think that saying phone bad, nature good is really like missing a lot of the messaging.
Well, completely, and that's a lot of people. I mean, I can see saying Thomas himself actually came out and said it's more about like the addiction to this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
However, you've got to remember, I think, that these kind of messages, when they aren't clarified, they can be co-opted and they can be appropriated in ways that you originally did not want them to be. And I think it's a weird line to walk as an artist, because you want to kind of say the things you want to say.
Yeah.
You also have to make sure that you're saying them in an effective way, that you're saying them in a way that has less of a chance of being appropriated and basically taken on Ernie entirely.
Yeah, there was this one song that I remember by Delane, actually. Like, Delane is one of those bands where here in the US, they open for every symphonic metal band. So whether you intended to or not, you are going to see them at least like 5 times. But I don't even know what the song is called, but it was like very anti-chemical, like anything synthetic. And
it's your body is a battleground.
Your body is a battleground. Yeah, I watched a like music video for that, and I was like, this makes me feel kind of bad if I needed prescription medications to live. Like, stop shaming me. There's already so much stigma for people who need medications. Like, why did you write this song? Made me feel like shit. Thanks, Delane.
I mean, it's I'm just thinking, what is it with all these bands who are doing like dystopia metal? Like, when did that become a thing?
No, I hate it. I can't handle dystopia messaging right now.
I can't.
You just go outside. We don't need any more messaging. Just go outside.
I'm sorry, Camelot. Please don't release an album this year.
Oh, yeah.
No, Camelot.
I can't take it.
It's yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Wow. Yeah, so going back to like tribalism and Nightwish cults.
yeah.
Let's talk about like Nightwish cults.
The cult of Nightwish.
The cult of Nightwish. So we know that the band has a bit of like contradictory messaging, but it does have a cult following. No pun intended. Is it a pun?
Oh man, it's so bizarre because it's like Nightwish are undoubtedly like one of the premier bands in European metal. They are one of the few bands that can play arenas.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I mean, of course, in metal, that's a bloody enormous thing. I mean, we have to remember these people are on Nuclear Blast on Napalm. They aren't famous.
No.
Like some of them are, yeah, but these people aren't like in their rap mansions being like, hey. You know, these dudes are some of these guys earn less than a fucking McDonald's manager. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember that because we have to realize how bloody big Nightwish are at this point.
They are. Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird that a lot of their cultish stuff gets swept under the surface and doesn't get talked about as much.
Okay, so what are some of the cultish stuff that you've noticed as part of the symphonic metal?
On your part of the world.
Will you get murdered if you tell us?
No, I'll just get a bunch of people blowing up my emails going like, oh, you can't say that. And it's like,
okay.
What they're going to do? I don't know. The digipacks are getting pretty big nowadays. They could, I don't know, frisbee them at me or something.
Oh, yeah. Just keep all your windows closed. Watch out.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. They're going to break lockdown at me.
Oh, no.
But yeah,
they're going to sneeze on you.
Oh, my God. But yeah, no, I mean, so a lot of Nightwish's, I suppose, their more culty fan base, that originates from their hometown in Finland, Kiti.
Yes.
And there's so mythology there. There's so much that gets pushed over there as a big thing. I mean, I have the studio that they recorded the original Nightwish stuff with, and a lot of people go to record there. And they've got this, they push this idea of that studio, that there's magic there. That just by being in that room on how you used, if you sing a Nightwish song, there's something in there that isn't there otherwise.
Yeah, that's...
And you can see, if you want an example of this, check
this is
out
some Harry Potter shit, but go on.
I think if anyone wants an example of this, check out someone I worked with, Miniva's YouTube video, where she does a kind of a live session at that studio. And she herself, along with a load of commenters, say kind of sagely like, oh, there's some magic in that studio. There's something in the air.
Wow.
And she's like, yes, there is. And that's the story. That's all because of the story. And you gotta, this goes back to one dude. And that's I'm just making sure I get his name in the right order. It sounds like he's got two first names. But it's a guy called Plamen Dimov.
Okay.
Now, have any of you guys, before I started talking, heard of this guy, Plamen?
No.
He places himself as someone instrumental into the formation of Nightwish. Like, you'll read stories about the early days when they were an acoustic band before they became a metal band.
Yep.
And his role was that he basically was their music teacher. He's the reason that Thomas and Ty met. And nowadays, you can see so many videos of like Ty doing recitals there, of the music students he was part of. It's created this kind of mythology around him. And you can check out actually his YouTube channel. He's got, if you type in his name on YouTube, you can see sessions of so many singers, so many girls singing Nightwish songs. So many of them, dude.
Okay, that's kind of weird. Okay, so basically, due to just passing of stories or word of mouth or like belief, a lot of people believe that there's some kind of like mysticism in this Montu studio in
Montu studio, yes.
Montu studio in Kite, Finland.
Yeah.
And people just like flock to this studio and sing Nightwish covers to embrace the power of the moon goddess. thing.
Essentially, yeah. And it's a huge kind of, I mean, it's not huge because symphonic metal, huge.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
It's
almost made me choke.
it's a kind of to have your selfie taken, and there's
My
a wall
gosh.
of Nightwish. You can see all this stuff. They've got like the wall of Nightwish. They've got the microphone Talia used, and they, well, at least for a time, Plowman really, really dined out on this. So
this is so interesting. This kind of reminds me, like in the Norwegian black metal scene, there was a record shop in Oslo. The one that has the wall and it just like says black metal on it. Helvex.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that, except the symphonic metal version.
Yeah, completely. And indeed, they ran or run, depending on where you lie on that. This kind of based around
a festival.
A mini festival based on a love of Nightwish over in Keaty.
Okay.
So this first festival, when it first happened, it was very connected with Nightwish. Like, I believe there was this big story about Nightwish surprising all the fans by turning up on the last day of this get-together, being like, "Oh my God, it's Nightwish! Oh my God,
it's the gods!" Nightwish.
Basically, yeah. And they ran it. I believe they ran it for a few years after that. And next year, the second year, I know quite a bit about from working with people. And Nightwish, I think they didn't actually return afterwards. So there was just these, but that wasn't even an issue, because this dude Plowman, he's created himself as this sort of, he's the oracle of Nightwish.
Yeah.
Wait, so I remember that Tarja and Thomas met in music school or something,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Was he their teacher?
Yes.
He was, yeah. And you can
Okay.
see in the sort of early videos, he's the guy that's accompanying.
Yeah.
I see, okay. And now he
Yes.
thinks he's like, he brought together the gods.
Well, he has a Wikipedia page, and
And he's a messiah.
in his Wikipedia page, he has he discovered and supported one of the most well-known Finnish bands, Nightwish. All the founding members, including Tarja Turunen, were his pupils, and he played violin on Oceanborn. And he has from that, it says on the Wikipedia page that he has formed and instructed more than 80 bands. So he's like probably having one band of pupils that made it, like Nightwish. That means, okay, now you want to do well in music, you're coming to learn with me, and I'll manage you and I'll do the things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, that's the thing. I don't doubt that he is connected to Nightwish, and I know he still is, because I remember on that was when, and just to check my dates here, I was working around July around that, and that was before Floor Jansen had an, and it got leaked there. That's where this kind of whisperings happened. So there is the story that happened there on the beach. So everybody goes around, and this is the story I was told, and this is the story that's corroborated by several commenters I've seen on this, that they were all around partying, singing Nightwish covers, blah blah blah, and Plowman, he kind of stops the crowd, like Moses in the Dead Sea.
With his like mystical deity powers.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And he basically goes, and I've got a great singer. I'm not going to comment on it more than that, but he goes, "Here, if we ever lose a singer, we have in our midst the next Nightwish singer."
Well,
and that's referring to someone I know as Marit Burson, who is Miniver on YouTube.
Yeah.
And check her out, because we did some stuff. Never got paid for it, though.
I've seen her covers on YouTube. She's a great singer.
Yeah, no, she's really great, and it's a shame that we don't keep in touch more. She's a cool person too.
She's the next high priestess of Nightwish.
And that's when someone in the crowd shouted out, "Floor's pregnant!"
Oh my gosh, who does that? Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, man. Nightwish have not got a good track record in this, dude.
No,
they really haven't.
In terms of like singer pregnancies.
Yeah. I mean, the story's great. I mean, I think you can still find this interview from Floor Jansen where Thomas literally, from what she said, walked up to her and said, "We're going to take a break. If you've ever wanted to get pregnant, here's a good time."
Well, you know,
who says that?
For the heads up, it might be helpful because, you know.
Yeah. How's the
you gotta
next
plan
doing,
around it.
Yeah.
That's a good time if you feel like having another kid.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, it feels in some ways like, like you want to do it now when we're not touring, right? Because
it's kind of
because you don't.
The tour is the thing that decides the scale.
Yeah, it kind of has a bit of an inbuilt threat behind it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, here's the time. If you do it later, though, that Exandria have just kicked out Diane. YouTube's looking good nowadays, Floor.
Also, wasn't Annette also having troubles with touring because she did go through a series of pregnancies when she was in the band?
What happened with Annette in the end? I mean, I think there's going to be more information that comes out soon because I've heard some like blinking you'll miss some comments saying that the Imagineering non-disclosure agreements are coming out soon. I don't know what they're going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see another outpouring of information. But what did happen with Annette, on the last Nightwish tour, is I believe she started getting quite ill.
Yeah. And
the deal that was offered to her was, hey, we have Floor Jansen.
My buddy Floor wants to sing.
My friend who's already on the plane learning our songs is ready to fill in for you.
Yo, this is premeditated. Is that the word?
Yeah. And basically
my friend who's already on the plane. That is
because they were touring together.
This was like mid-tour.
And there were a couple shows where where Annette was replaced by some of the other vocalists on the tour. We talked about this the other day.
We did.
Yeah. I mean, so Annette not recently, but afterwards she was like, well, I'm not going to say yes to because all the fans wanted Floor. Like, no one liked Annette. Everyone was all like, oh, she was in an ABBA tribute band. She wasn't. Literally, the Nightwish fans created this narrative that they'd got her from an ABBA tribute band.
No, she was in like a AOR band, right?
Yeah. No,
she was a rock singer.
Yeah. Everyone's like, oh my god, this is an opera. I hate it.
Who made it? Who made that shit up? That's so weird. Okay.
That was a huge thing going around the time. I think a lot of people might remember that. But yeah, she was like, no, I'm not going to let Floor. If Floor sings, she'll always sing. They're not going to want to be back.
I think that's a totally valid fear to have.
Yeah, I think there was an actual interview from her saying like at the time that if just one show Floor took over, it's like she's a rock metal singer and I'm not, and the metal fans want that and not me. So if she sings one show, I'm out.
Yeah.
And so she powered through, and that ended up breaking her more.
Yeah, completely. And there are quite a few. I wonder if they're still on YouTube, but there are some quite heartbreaking videos of Annette having to walk off stage mid-show, or just clearly having illnesses while she's singing. I mean, actually, over here they played a festival called Bloodstock, and what happened throughout that set is people shined laser pens in her eyes.
Are you serious?
That's awful. What the fuck?
Awful. Wrong?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when I say like things can get bad, like this sort of elitism does beget some nasty shit.
Yeah.
I've seen this, man. I mean, equally later I saw the dude from Cradle of Filth get hit by a gobstopper about the size of a cricket ball. And they were like,
what is a gobstopper
what is a
doing?
what's the size
And
of a
also,
cricket ball?
what are you doing throwing that at people?
yeah, they were selling in the grounds
Yeah.
like this massive cricket ball sized gobstopper.
That's disturbing.
Guy was just hurling it at Cradle of Filth all night. Guitarist gets hit in the wrist, and it's like, oh, my arm's broken.
Shit.
Oh no.
Oh no! But yeah, it's yeah. So Annette didn't have a great time, and she, I believe, last November came out and said, "Yeah, I was treated like shit. I was treated really, really, really badly." And I think it was a few days ago, Marco came out and said in an interview, he was quite cloak and dagger, but he said, "You reap what you sow."
What does that mean?
I don't know.
That's just
Oh
like
my
setting
goodness.
up this
I
the
wanted-
upcoming sequel. That's why.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, that's completely it. He's just saying like, oh, I'm not allowed to talk about things. Yeah, I can't say much, but you do reap what you sow, though.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
no.
I'd like to think that Marco was just there and
Yeah, it's
not
like- yeah.
involved in any of this drama, but fuck knows. If you're complicit in like the abuse of people, then I don't know. I feel like you helped.
It's one of
Like
those kind
you're
of
not
things.
entirely innocent.
It's one of those things, though. And I mean, it ties into my criticism of them still working with Vinberg on their tours, because it is Nightwish. And if you are someone who's, say, like, I know Marco is a great singer and he's been with the band for a very long time, but I reckon you could have Nightwish with just Thomas.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I reckon that's,
definitely.
with the right marketing, I think that could be a touring act, and especially before they got big, because this was before Dark Passion Play came out. I'd be wondering how much money are your morals worth to you? Like, you can have a music career made for you. You could never have to work a day in your life again and just be given songs to play.
Yeah, that's kind of how it operates now. Like,
Yeah.
it's really just Tuomas's show.
I don't have a problem with that, to be honest, because he's a great songwriter when he wants to be. He's a
When
talented
he wants to be.
Like he's written a lot of great songs.
dude. Yeah.
I think he's still on the good side. Like even with this last album, if you measure across all the songs, he still has mostly good songs.
Yeah. No, totally. And that's the annoying thing that I find about symphonic metal on the whole. It's like, I would say, I think Nightwish could be better. I think they should be better, because they have been better. They've made some incredible stuff that I still listen to today. And if I suddenly said, oh, you know what, Nightwish are shit, they're not worth listening to, who else are you going to listen to? Like, who's bringing it in symphonic metal? You got Epica.
Yeah, Epica.
Epica, I love Epica. They're doing some great
stuff. The thing
stuff.
is the level, because Nightwish is where it is, and it's really hard to break into that spot now.
Nobody's really at that level, I think. Even Within Temptation has sort of drifted astray. I'm not sure what they're doing now.
They released a new single fairly recently.
Oh.
It's kind of a punky alternative rock thing.
I am not up to date in the Within Temptation sphere any longer.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But like,
They do what they do. I mean, they were meant to do that tour with Evanescence.
Oh.
That would be. And of course, Evanescence, another band that's kind of turned away from metal in a
it's like
fairly big
they
way.
never went full in. They
Yeah,
just
that's
toyed
so
with it.
interesting, because I never really thought of Evanescence as metal. Like when I first heard them, I just thought they were like rock, and it never prompted me to dig further into that type of music.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, they released this album, Fallen, and it was good, and I just stopped right there.
Yeah, it's the thing. I mean, if you think about it, symphonic metal is really genre. Like all the bands that have become big, you know, it's what I always say about local bands and about the scene over here in England.
Yeah.
People will go to see that band. They will go to see Within Temptation. They will go to see Nightwish and Evanescence. They don't go out saying symphonic metal and then just turn up at a pub to hear some dudes playing with backing tracks. They don't do that.
No, nobody
That's
does.
so
No, it's the same
interesting.
here.
Yeah,
It's
you're
not
right. Like
I mean,
all
I'd
the
argue.
shows that
I'm
I've
sorry.
seen, the smaller shows have been like other metal genres. The only symphonic metal that I've really seen are like Nightwish and Delane, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like here,
I mean,
Nightwish latest tour sold out a 7,000 capacity stadium, and any local symphonic metal bands, because they're like 5 to 10 active now, they will not sell 200 tickets.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, over here we've got. I mean, for us, most of our symphonic metal bands, man, it's running dry. I mean, I love, and I will always shout out because they're great guys too. Damnation Angels. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
They're my favorite UK symphonic metal band, and Ignacio is one of the best vocalists in the genre. Easily.
He's Argentine.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, represent.
Equally, dude. I mean, we supported them, and I hope they don't mind me saying this won't get back to them, but maybe it does. They played to a pub to like maybe 20 people max, dude. Like, and then they went on a huge tour with massive crowds every night with Threshold.
Ooh, amazing.
So yeah, there's that kind of local disconnect between, especially the
sure.
genre. Whereas I think other genres, I mean, people will go out and just see death metal or just see thrash metal because they can just go there, have a good old time, not have to think too hard, and just be like, yes, this is great music. And same thing for something like hip hop, I'd say. You can just go to a hip hop show and have a good time. Whereas the thing with symphonic metal, when you get that on stage, a lot of people are just like, okay, I must stand still and fold my arms and just be like,
you know, I saw a Camelot show. Okay, so I saw Camelot open for Nightwish, the first tour that like Floor Jansen joined the band. When I went to the show, like I sort of didn't really know that Annette dropped out. Like she was still on the posters. And then Floor Jansen was on stage, and we were like, what the fuck? It's Floor Jansen. Yeah. And I don't know if it was because the crowd was like so hyped for this unusual arrangement, but it's a metal show. It was crazy.
Yeah. I honestly have the same experience.
But it's so distinct. Like I've been to a Nightwish show for the Endless Forms tour. I took my husband, who is reluctant. He's not a Nightwish fan. He loves the like energy of power metal, and Nightwish doesn't seem to have that style of energy. So he's like, this is weird. Whatever. The audience was so different. It was nothing like that first audience, you know?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I think I've seen Nightwish 3 times. So I saw him on that Imagineering tour with Floor Jansen. And as you say, it felt like a metal show.
It felt like a metal show.
The queue coming from the venue was just like going from street to street.
Yeah.
Younger people there too, man. That's all I'll say. Like there was a young audience, and everyone was just getting hype as hell for it.
Yeah, and people weren't shy. They were like singing. They were like doing the thing, and it was like wild. It was a metal show.
And I saw them at Wembley when they filmed that Vehicle of the Spirit, and I remember Arch Enemy opened for them. And everybody, there were so many people around me in the audience throughout Arch Enemy, and they were like, what the fuck is this?
Really?
They're just, yeah. That's the only time I've ever seen a band like Arch Enemy get just stillness from the crowd.
Fuck audience? That's so strange. Arch Enemy is so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people
pull
didn't
in
even
an
know.
arena. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Big band, dude. Big band.
Huge.
And last time I saw him was on the Decades tour. And there were people having picnics on the ground, man.
Oh.
They were having picnics with like 5-year-olds.
Oh.
And I straight up saw a picnic blanket and I thought, man, this genre's fucking dead.
This was not this was not the enthusiastic metal crowd that I knew before.
But I mean, it's like that they've gone somewhere, and that's the thing I always think about. They've not grown old. They've not grown apathetic.
No,
they've gone somewhere, man. You can see them at concerts with bands like Gojira or Architects, I saw him at Bring Me the Horizon. I've seen him at rap shows. I see him everywhere. I don't see them in symphonic metal nowadays, and that really kind of makes me feel a bit like, oh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's disheartening.
Yeah, maybe that age is over. Okay. So
no, I still believe.
You still believe. Okay,
we need some
where
hope.
do you think symphonic metal stands now? Like, what do you see happening in symphonic metal land now today?
That's a really difficult question.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it's so odd because, like, personally, as like a casual listener of the metals, like I've sort of outgrown symphonic metal. It's a genre that I used to love and like be very deeply invested in, but now it's just like I enjoyed it once and I don't enjoy it as much anymore, and I don't know why.
No, I completely get you, and I think I've said before quite a few times, as much as I'd love to bring like a contemporary classical influence in and just say, hey guys, if you want to write orchestra, you gotta be educated. But reality of that is I'm asking people to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of their time and thousands of their money to go to university
to get an education.
That is how for metal.
Yeah,
to be in a metal band. That's stupid. That dude, if you want to spend that much on university, guys, do something you want to do for the rest of your life. Don't a metal band, man. Like, please don't do. Don't.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I feel like symphonic. Now that I think about it a little bit, like, you know how people are always like, yeah, heavy metal peaked in the 80s. Everybody only knows Metallica and Megadeth, like Maiden and Priest and whatever. For symphonic metal land, there's Nightwish, Epica, Camelot, and Rhapsody. Like, who's...
And Rhapsody, it's like nobody would call it symphonic metal. Everyone would call it power metal.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Symphonic metal's been like adapted into many far better genres.
Because like
symphonic metal dead now. It's just been
those first Rhapsody.
I mean, it's the way. Sorry. Now the way I would probably describe it, and this is a bit of a weird analogy, but stay with me. It's kind of like when you get guys who describe themselves as nice guys. It's fun to be nice. It's good to be nice. But if the only thing you can say about a person is that they're nice, they're a boring ass person. Equally, if the only thing you can say about your metal is that there is an orchestra here, your music's shit. Your music.
Yeah.
If I can take away your orchestra and you've got nothing, you suck.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not me being purist and saying they need to play keyboards again. It frustrates me that there's so much you can do in that genre. There's so many things you can go, so many pathways you can go. And yet we're in this position where it's become pop music for people who think that they're too clever to listen to pop music.
That's an awful mindset from
I
the
thought
listeners.
That's what power metal was.
Oh, what's that? Sorry?
That's an awful mindset that some listeners have. That
Yeah.
reasoning of like, pop. I
Yeah.
don't listen to pop. I listen to something better, and it's like discount pop.
And it's like power metal, which is like metal with pop song structures.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone
pop with double guitars.
I mean, it's gone further than that, dude. I mean, check out. I mean, if you've got time in your life to spare, if you look at like Amaranth with their last album, not symphonic metal, of course, but it's all in that female-fronted sphere. Yeah, they wholesale nicked a Taylor Swift song.
Yeah,
like 365 is ready for it, and they've also got Inferno, which is
Ed Sheeran's Shape of You.
So
I do not know Amaranth past their second album, so I'm gonna have to look this up.
Yeah, and that's what I think creates what can be quite a toxic subculture. If your whole thing's built around this paper thin, we're not pop.
Like being not pop is not interesting.
That's what subcultures are based on now. Because I mean, if you think about it, when I talk about subcultures, they're often defined as what they aren't as much as what they are. I mean, you're into rock and metal. It's like, we are not pop. We are not produced. We are not label created. You know, it's like, we're not overproduced. We write our own music, says the guy who plays guitar for a band where he's never written a guitar.
Yeah.
I have not got a problem with that. I don't have a problem with bands working in that way. Even with pop music. Like, I think a big thing that gets overrated in pop while I'm just here is just the stamina these people have and the mental and physical stamina that these artists have to put themselves on the line day in, day out to do whatever they need to, whether they write their songs or not. They've got to learn the routines. They've got to be there. And unfortunate that a lot of this has been forgotten because it's like, hey, pop bad. You know, and
no, it's
right.
I've just seen this. Sorry, I've seen this cool thing on the chat, but yeah, it does exist in this weird sort of duality in that it's sort of mourning the fact that it's not popular. Like, we're outcasts. Oh no, this is our family, while also reveling in that. While also saying, but we also must be a family, and we must reject
the
evil.
mainstream.
Yeah, it's the mainstream.
The mainstream is coming. Oh God.
Yeah.
And to bring that back to Nightwish, that's why Annette got so much hate, because people heard something, it wasn't operatic, and they thought, this is pop.
Pop bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Phone bad, pop bad. Okay.
Now, where do you guys, like, I mean, you guys, of course, again, covering all the power metal, where do you sort of stand on that?
I like everything.
Like, what?
Fuck elitists.
Yes!
Fuck people that say, oh, why you don't listen to pop or pop is bad. That's just stupid. Especially when
you guys, like, power metal is like pop with drums, okay? Like, don't at me.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, it totally is.
Yeah. And metal to me is more like a stylistic choice for us upon your genre. Like, you want to make it sound snappy and loud and very high-endy, and so you go for the metal aesthetic, but then you might write with pop sensibilities from whatever decade, whatever popping forms in that decade. Like, a lot of people are like that, and they talk about their best bands being the rock bands that were the mainstream pop of their era.
Yeah.
Like, they just...
The Beatles.
Yeah, it's the Beatles, the biggest pop band in the planet. But, like, people...
One of the greatest rock bands that's ever been.
Yeah, and the people would go like, yeah, because AC/DC was mainstream when rock was pop.
Yeah, rock was mainstream when rock was pop. And if you like this style of metal now, you might have been into the mainstream music if you were alive 30 years ago.
There's probably a lot of different perceptions of this depending on the age of people, because, for example, people our age, roughly, usually learned to hate pop in the late 90s and early 2000s. So to them, that's pop. And they don't even consider listening to what pop is nowadays, which is completely different. And then they talk about, maybe if they talk about power metal, and it has the same songwriting sensibilities as late 90s and early 2000s pop, which is like, you don't even know where you're standing, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, or like it borrows from each other. Yeah, for me, I think I like having variety in my musical styles. Like, I like a lot of the more extreme metal subgenres too. Like, I enjoy black metal and like melodeath and a tiny bit of death metal. I'm not quite there yet. But I also enjoy like power metal and stuff that has more recognizable like choruses and song structures as well.
I mean,
I really admire people who actually, like, you know how some people are like, I listen to everything. And Yeah, my husband is one of those people. He will listen to hip hop, he listens to Japanese rock, he listens to like synth wave and dream pop, and then he'll listen to power metal. And I'm like, wow, you listen to so many subgenres. I cannot do that. I get overwhelmed. That's why I stick to metal.
That's the thing. I mean, and I love that. I mean, people are just going to listen to what they listen to, and that's cool, man. I mean, what I always say, whenever I'm arguing the point about this, is that when we say things are pop music, that doesn't mean it's bad.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
literally,
like what it sounds like, and that's okay. It's an objective statement.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this desire to be classical on the opposite hand of pop, it uses these Western art music terms to provide the music with legitimacy. If you like, it's like, this is classical, so it must be art. And I think what a lot of people forget is that this idea, it's got some really uncomfortable connotations if you go back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I'm definitely making a massive leap here, but I believe it was Nina Simone who said, I don't write jazz, I write black classical music. Because that's what it was to her. Basically saying, what your classical music has to your culture,
this so is what
my music has to mine.
Wow, that's so smart. It's a kind genius.
Of, it's absolutely a backhanded compliment, a backhanded statement that's meant to be a bit of a sort of to classical music. But again, classical doesn't mean good. Pop does not.
Oh yeah.
It's
like, what is classical to you?
They are organizing tags. They are to inform us give us an idea of what we're gonna listen to, or just a good way to tell, hey, I want a recommendation on something, and you mention one of these tags, one of these genre tags, and that helps us organize and to some degree understand, like make decisions quick. Okay, maybe I will not like this based on what they are presenting it as, or maybe yes, or maybe I'm not in the mood for this kind of music, but for this kind. But they don't mean that something is good or bad, depending on what you classify it as.
And that's where we kind of build subcultures from there. People get involved with people who they believe will lead them to good music, people who can share the stuff they like with.
Yeah, and you have to remember that there will be good and bad music in every genre. Like, it's
absolutely
irrespective of genre. You will find bad music and you will find good music when you're looking for it.
All right. So let's see if we have any actual questions in the chat. That's a lot of words.
Yeah, mainly Oak has been following.
They're mostly comments.
Ghost of a Bullet has been
there's some really good comments.
I like that comment, actually, the last Ghost of a Bullet comment, saying that the band's trying to elevate rock music by fusing it with classical and opera. And that's a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah, that term elevate, like, why can't it be fusion?
Or just make the music. If you're making music and you say, oh, maybe if I take these elements and I will make something new and it might be better, that should be your motivation. Not, if I make it sound like this, people will think I'm smarter, I'm better.
Like, I'm artsier, I'm more artistic. Yeah, I don't like this hierarchical bullshit.
It's rubbish.
Like, I don't like hierarchy in, like, anything.
Yeah. What I'd say about basically with that is that's, I think, where we as artists need to be very careful. Because in culture, we have what we call cultural coding, which through the years of hearing something, we associate a thing with something else. Like centuries of orchestral music that we've called in some way classical.
Yeah.
So we now have, as soon as you hear an orchestra, people might think, classical music. That's where you get comments, people saying like the Skyrim Song of the Dragonborn is a classical piece, and like Hans Zimmer is a classical composer.
Just because he's an orchestra, and not taking into account anything else.
It does not mean classical. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, exactly. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
My discomfort with that within metal is when you get stuff like label sort of press releases where they said he is the mastermind behind Amberian Dawn, Xandria, Serenia, Nightwish, Epica, Within Temptation, Delaned. They're the mastermind. They're the composer. It's you are very clearly trying to say that this guy is more than he is, because songwriter might be a bit of a taboo term, because pop has songwriters. Ed Sheeran is a songwriter.
Yeah, there's a bigger version on when talking publicly, talking about the songwriter when you're on the side of rock and metal music in general. It's like codified that there's this old belief that if you have a rock or metal band, that means that 5 guys got together one day and they plugged their things in their garage and the music just manifested itself from their
The music
anger.
just flowed from their fingertips, and
that's music, and that's how it works.
And the sick riffs were born.
And it's probably one of the dudes started doodling one day and writing some stuff, and then some of the dudes maybe said, "Oh, make this part faster." Okay, and then he finished the song, and then everyone learned it. And that's it. And someone is credited as the actual main songwriters. Might be more or less collaborative, but usually most songs you can point to, oh yeah, it's this guy's song.
Yeah. And of course, because songwriting credits don't have like a legal thing behind who gets what, that's where you get like the pop songs where they have 30 writers. Because of course those royalties act as a payment sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep. People don't actually notice, and it's not well shown, but if you're accessing stuff like PRS for Music, you can see this. A lot of bands on labels like Napalm Records and Nuclear Blast hand over as much as 50% of their songwriting credits to their label.
Yeah, that happens a lot with a lot of deals in different labels and around the world too. Like, it's a classic way to just, I'm not sure, but it seems like you might make some money with this, so I will, whatever I'm doing, what service I'm providing to you, or whatever, just give me this percentage of whatever royalties you will get from songwriting. And songwriting royalties are a thing that is usually regulated around the world on sales. So there is always a net percentage taken from that, from live shows and stuff like that, and radio or play, and it can become a source of income. And when you see 30 songwriters in a song in pop, or there's used to be the joke going around like showing, oh yeah, this Rihanna song has 30 songwriters and it has only 4 verses repeated over and over, and this song has 1 songwriter only, and it's a massive poetry thing. And most likely those 30 people, 5 of them are songwriters and the rest are just taking a cut for something.
Yeah, absolutely.
This reminds me of like, okay, so my real life job, other than power metal enthusiast, is a scientist. And when you publish your findings in like scientific journals, sometimes there's like 30 authors, and then sometimes you look at that list and you're like, why are there 30 authors? But like, you don't know who actually, like, you don't know the backstory. Like, some of it might be political, or some of it might be like, oh, this person thought of the idea, and like, this is their student that actually did the experiments. And
yeah.
I don't know. You just don't know like what's happening in the background when you see a list of 30 songwriters.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly the thing, and so you can't really make a judgment on it. It's a shame that people do.
Yeah.
And, no, I mean, that's the thing that I'm seeing in the chat. Metal memes. They're always that kind of, like, does anyone else think metal is good? It's like, that's not a meme, guys.
Good. Metal good, metal deep, metal authentic. That's also a thing.
I think my least favorite metal meme I've seen is the Katy Perry one, where she's like, "You're gonna hear me roar," and it's a picture of like Alyssa from Arch Enemy or Floor Jansen or literally, and it's like, "Bitch, please," and it's like, come on,
come on, can we like not put down other artists? Like, everybody is a singer. Like, come on, it's gonna be okay.
it's this weird kind of thing. I mean, I mentioned earlier about the whole metal being like for outcasts and family. It's like, oh, they don't understand our music.
They don't understand. Oh,
it's
God.
like they don't understand how intricate metal can be. Also, does anyone else agree that rap is just a guy talking over a beat?
I hate it when metal fans like criticize or like downplay rap and hip hop in that way.
Oh yeah, it's just so
I
stupid.
get really annoyed. Like
I would love to just get someone who criticizes that and just put them in front of a camera and watch them attempt like a Tech Nine song. That would be, if anybody doesn't know, please look up Tech Nine, something like Worldwide Choppers or Nina, because it's I love it. But I'll just have these dudes just like blabbering over these.
And also like when was the last time you fucking wrote the lyrics to, like, if you look at rap lyrics, they're like essays.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
They're like actual poetry, and they're long because people talk fast.
Yeah, I mean,
like that. If you want storytelling, that's storytelling.
I mean, it might be not the storytelling people are used to, because the big stories in rap, they come from different cultural backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And and when it gets to people, I've seen loads of people do this, where it's like, oh, it's just talking about how much money you have and all the hoes you have. That's problematic.
Mainstream rap. I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation.
That was mainstream rap during a particular time.
During a particular time
place, and only the ones that would turn into music videos. That's the thing. It's just that was the thing that was distilled because, well, it sold well and everything. Yeah. But
I mean, that's the time
even then you had a lot of stuff. Yeah, but even then you had a lot of stuff by most of those same artists that was really, really cool to listen and to have around.
Yeah. So I'm just loving these comments.
It's like just hearing like Nemo by Nightwish and thinking that represents all of metal in general, which is kind of ridiculous.
I mean, it's like listening to Limp Bizkit Rolling and saying this is what metal sounds like.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, even worse than that.
Oh man, but it's bizarre. It's a bizarre thing because a lot of people who are on this sort of like bandwagon against rap, these are the dudes that were listening to Linkin Park back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yo, I love Linkin Park.
I loved Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Well, once it has, because it's not rap. It has guitars. It can be because I like it.
It's both.
If I like it, that means that's metal.
I wonder, what's the difference between Mike Shinoda and Kanye West?
One's Asian and one's black. I don't know.
That's near enough my point. It's like, this gets into a different thing entirely, but it's whenever someone says, oh, I hate rap, but Eminem's all right. And I'm kind of like,
Like it because it's more palatable to you. I don't know.
Well, yes.
Problematic.
Well, that's what we've all got to, I think, remember. We're all from our cultural backgrounds, and that will influence what we love.
Yeah.
We can't change that, nor should we want to. But we could all do to think about people from other cultures and other backgrounds and what music means to them and what different types of music means to them. And that is why I will always go on boring rants about elitism being bad.
Boring rants. Well, hopefully your boring rants will get through to somebody. And like, if you, I don't know. I think elitism is bad in an economic aspect. I think it's fucking damaging in a social aspect. I think it's useless in music. Like, imagine how boring the world be if all we got was like true metal and whatever the fuck that means. I don't know. It's going to mean something different to everybody.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the business I kind of work in with contemporary classical is that we're always trying to think of music that pushes music forward.
Right.
Like, you'll get research grants if your music's something new, something fresh, something that's not been attempted. And honestly, if all music was banned except music that made music better, the world would be so boring.
Oh yeah,
Right?
definitely.
Yeah,
Like,
if only music that pushed boundaries existed, then like I don't know. I was in the music program back in university, and there was a lot of like electronic music and like ambient sorted kind of music.
yeah,
Ones that are like, is this really music? And if it made you ask the question of is this really music, that means it was good because it was pushing the boundaries of what music sounds like.
absolutely.
I don't know if I would like that.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite pieces in that sort of umbrella is a piece called "I'm Sitting in a Room," and what it is 45 minutes of this guy giving a short speech saying, "I'm sitting in a room different from the one you're sitting in," etc., etc. He records that and plays it back into the room.
Yeah.
And over 45 minutes, you can hear the echoes take over his speech
Oh,
until
shit.
totally new
That's
sounds
trippy.
happen.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And
It's great.
It's a stunning piece. But yeah, it is one that makes you consider: is this music? Is this, it's art? Yeah, but like,
It's like
what
sound,
music emerges?
Yeah, like your first
Yeah,
instinct is
yeah.
like, this is sound design. This is like he's clearly doing something with the audio, because like you get this reverberation and everything, and what you're hearing is like a feedback loop of what the room does to human speech. And
Yeah,
and honestly, you can listen to the whole thing, and it can be interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, it's hard. Your brain will not automatically catalog it in the same place as the latest Powerwolf song. It's like I'm
Yeah.
having a different kind of
It's-
experience.
But it's like, you need that latest Powerwolf song, man. I mean,
Oh yeah,
again, you could compare that to anything. It's like, imagine if every day you had a dude who just put in front of you cuisine. It's like, you can't have Special K, mate. You got to have this.
It's elevated.
yeah. And
You know.
it's like thinking, we should only do Formula One with cars because that's what pushes the boundaries of design and engineering, and no other racing is worth it. And then, like, you don't have road cars and you can't drive to work or have fun drifting on a parking lot.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that like is over gate kept. Food. Like, come on. Like,
Oh,
we
man.
all need to eat. Let's not gatekeep food.
I think my favorite food gatekeeping I've ever seen, and this was more years ago before people started cutting down on toxic masculinity. It was this idea. It's like, oh yeah, real men eat steak. You can't have bacon.
What?
I have seen that.
That a
The
UK
UK
thing?
is different.
That sounds like a UK thing.
We're a weird place. I've had so many people saying like, "Oh, why are you eating insert thing like McDonald's, bacon? You know, why not just have a steak?" And I'm like,
I'm hungry because
It's like-
I don't know, it's cheaper. Like,
"Oh my god,
ridiculous.
oh,
Okay.
it's so fun."
Well, that was
It's
a really
most-
fun conversation about gatekeeping of all sorts of
Of
things.
everything.
Of everything. Okay. So
just
in
need
the
to-
in the theme of non-gatekeeping, I was thinking we could just share what we've been listening to this past week as our like little closing thing. So who wants to start?
Well, I haven't been listening to a lot of music because we have to work from home, right? And
Yeah.
to work from home, I need to be on the VPN of the company. And for some reason, the
Oh.
VPN of the company is not letting me use Spotify. So my music listening has dropped a lot. But I've listened to the Nightwish album, and I've
Nice.
listened to a lot of Dragon Force just because there was some talk about them some weeks ago. So I put them in the hard drive, and I've been spamming all Dragon Force. So not
Very nice.
very exciting.
How about Dan?
Oh, for me, I've been doing a bit of everything. I've been going back to a lot of the old sort of alternative. Geodos are one of my favorite bands at the moment. Seriously, I can listen to I Didn't Say I Was Powerful, I Said I Was a Wizard on repeat and just be like, I love this song. But then you've got stuff, I've been getting into Infant Annihilator quite a bit recently.
That sounds familiar.
They did the song I could recommend, Blasphemian. It's just the most menacing thing ever. I love it.
Oh, sounds pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's basically an exercise in how heavy and how annoyingly brutal can this music get.
Right.
It's just, but yeah, I mean, I've listened to quite a lot of, I'm still writing a lot of my classical pieces, so I've been really into Debussy recently as well. Weirdly, I've not listened to much melodic metal at all.
Cool.
It's not been on my register, but Debussy and Infant Annihilator.
Okay.
Go check it out.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. Yeah, back in the ancient times when I used to practice classical piano. So like, I don't know my composers anymore.
Don't worry about it.
We played a bunch of Debussy. Yeah. Okay, and as far as my artists for the past week, I am on a Sojourner kind of phase. They're like atmospheric black metal. Except they went an interesting like direction in this newest release. They were always kind of like folk influenced. There's like a lot of flute and tin whistle and like whatever. But this time it feels like they went a little bit more melodic. There's like some electronic elements, and then there's more like clean female vocals, which is different but also cool. And then aside from that, I was listening to Femi Nazgul, which is a black metal project by musician and author Margaret Killjoy. The album is called No Dawn for Men. Very like feminist themed, like the screaming person is a woman, and are trash and stuff.
Sounds like that kind of record.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's quite lovely. I love it. And also Caligula's Horse, like progressive metal, new album. I've only played it a few times so far, but I'm really enjoying their new record so far.
Yeah,
but
I've heard a lot about them recently. I'll have to give them a proper listen.
Yeah, check out Caligula's Horse in Contact. That was from like 2017. One of my favorite albums. Cool. So yeah, that was pretty much. How do you end a show?
We all have to take a bow.
We just take a bow.
We tell everyone that's listening at home, people that have listened on the stream right now, 11 people in total, and to everyone listening to the recording, stay powerful.
Oh, I can't talk and type at the same time. Knows how to. Oh yeah. Recommendations for everybody. I've just been nonstop listening to CELESTIVL. Check out their album 10 times 2, except you can't tell your Google speaker to play it, or else I'll just get really confused.
That was an oversight, yeah.
I was on a bunch of. I was definitely on an Ether Realm kick like 2 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago. Ether Realm. Yeah, the new album is really good. I still really like Tarot. But this new one is just like really clever. Really clever. Okay. So, there's not really any questions, but those are people's album recommendations.
Oh, Winterfeeleth. Oh,
Winterfeeleth. Yeah, agree. Yeah. That was great. Hell yeah, Ether Realm. Ether Realm is wild. Wide and wild.
I mean, She's Back is one of my songs of the year. That is a monster.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. So we like to end shows, as Darko reminded me, because I totally forgot. by saying "Stay powerful."
Yeah, I'm up for that.
You have to say it.
Yeah,
You are
you
the
have
guest.
to say it.
All right. Okay. All right, guys. I've been Daniel Carpenter. You can check out my stuff on Celestial, and you can also go to my new website. But until then, do stay powerful, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Stay powerful.
Stay powerful, everyone.
Okay, I'm
We're
gonna.
gonna end the stream.
Do we stop?
Just wave,
Okay.
wave by
Cut.
while I cut it.
Wave.
Bye.
Okay.
See ya.